Someone measured it before we knew how to measure things like that. In Adams County, Ohio, there is a mound of earth shaped like a serpent in motion, nearly a quarter-mile long, coiled, precise, and very old. It was formally documented in 1848 by archaeologists Ephraim Squire and Edwin Davis, who surveyed it with careful instruments and published their findings in a landmark report called Ancient Monuments of the Mississippi Valley. Squire and Davis were methodical men. What they wrote in their official report was measured, restrained, and professional. What they did not publish is another matter. In the spring of 2019, during a routine cataloging of unclaimed estate items at an auction house in Cincinnati, a small leather journal was found tucked inside a surveying case. The handwriting matched known samples of Ephraim Squire's personal correspondence. The contents matched nothing he ever chose to share with the world. From the journal, April 3, 1848, we arrived at the ridge before dawn. Davis insisted we wait for full light before beginning the survey. I did not tell him what I had already seen in the dark. What Squire had seen in the dark, and why he chose not to tell his colleague, he would not write directly for another 11 pages. The serpent mound itself is not disputed. It is real, it is ancient, and by any measure it should not exist. No wheels, no metal tools, no written language. And yet the builders achieved an alignment so precise that the serpent's open mouth aims directly at the summer solstice sunset. That alignment is not approximate. It is exact, verified by modern astronomical software to within fractions of a degree. To achieve that precision without instruments, without written calculation, the builders would have needed generations of accumulated observation and a reason to remember. From the journal, April 5, 1848, the local men who guided us to the ridge would not step onto the coil itself. They said only that it was not their place to stand there. They would not say whose place it was. I would have incurred. The indigenous peoples of the region had their own names for the mound, their own protocols surrounding it. Those protocols were rarely explained to outsiders and rarely asked about. Squire and Davis attributed the mound to the fort ancient culture. Later research complicated that attribution significantly. Radiocarbon dating conducted in the 1990s suggested construction between 300 BC and 100 C, placing it firmly within the Adena or Hopewell tradition, cultures that left no written record of their intentions. From the journal, April 7, 1848, I have paced the full length 3 times now. Each time I arrive at the head, I find myself reluctant to look directly at the oval. Davis calls it an egg. I am not certain that is what it is. Tu pas, that is. The oval at the serpent's open mouth has been interpreted as an egg, a sun, or an eye. No consensus has ever been reached. The ambiguity appears to be deliberate. What is agreed upon is that the oval aligns with the summer solstice sunrise, the opposite end of the same celestial event framed by the serpent's tail. The entire structure, from tail to open mouth, frames a single day, the longest day of the year, from first light to last. That is not coincidence. That is architecture. But architecture implies an architect, and the serpent mound has never yielded a single name, a single face, a single trace of who decided to build it. From the journal, April 8, 1848, Davis slept well. I did not. I spent the night reading The Coil by moonlight, and I became convinced that the curves are not decorative. They are counting something. The serpent's body contains exactly 7 coils. 7 is not a random number in the cosmologies of cultures across the ancient world, from Mesopotamia to Mesoamerica. Researchers have proposed that the coils correspond to lunar cycles, to specific star positions, or to a calendar system no longer recoverable. None of these theories has been disproven. From the journal, April 9, 1848, I counted the undulations again this morning. 7. Always 7. I asked our guide if that number held meaning. He looked at me for a long moment, then said, "It holds everything." The ridge itself is unusual. Serpent Mound sits atop a geological formation caused by a meteorite impact, one of the most dramatic impact craters in eastern North America. The impact occurred roughly 300 million years ago. The builders of the mound could not have known this, and yet they chose this exact location and no other. From the journal, April 10, 1848, "The ground here feels different underfoot. Davis attributed it to the clay composition. I said nothing, but I have surveyed a great deal of ground, and I have never felt ground like this." Some researchers have speculated that the builders sensed the anomalous geology beneath them, that the site was chosen not despite its strangeness, but because of it. There are no burial sites within the serpent's body, no artifacts, no remains. Whatever the mound was built for, it was not a tomb, and that absence is its own kind of answer. From the journal, April 11, 1848, "I have begun to wonder whether the serpent was meant to be seen from the ground at all. Standing inside it, you cannot perceive its shape. You must be above it. The mound is only fully legible from the air, a perspective its builders, by all conventional understanding, could never have occupied, and yet the form is flawless from above." From the journal, April 12, 1848, "I climbed the tallest oak at the ridge's edge this evening. From perhaps 40 feet up, I saw it whole for the first time. I did not come down for a long while." Squire's private reaction to seeing the mound from height was never elaborated. The next journal entry skips an entire day. April 13th is missing. The page has not been torn. It was never written. What is known is that on April 14th, Squire altered the survey measurements he would later submit for publication, not dramatically, but precisely enough to obscure one specific alignment. From the journal, April 14th, 1848, "I have adjusted the eastern coordinates in the official record. It is a small change. Davis will not notice. Some things should not be findable by just anyone." When modern researchers re-examined Squire and Davis's original published coordinates, they found a minor but consistent discrepancy in the eastern measurements, one that had never been explained or corrected. That discrepancy, when reversed and corrected, points the serpent's eastern axis toward a second celestial alignment, one associated not with the solstice, but with a specific lunar standstill that occurs once every 18 years. From the journal, April 15, 1848, "The moon last night was at its lowest arc in what the guides tell me is an 18-year cycle. The shadow of the serpent's head fell exactly across the oval. Exactly. I measured it. I measured it." Lunar standstill alignment has since been independently proposed by researchers who had no access to the journal. They arrived at the same conclusion through different means and found no way to explain the coincidence. An alignment discovered twice by two entirely separate lines of inquiry, separated by over a century and a half. That kind of convergence does not happen by accident. From the journal, April 16, 1848, "Davis asked me this morning why I had been so quiet. I told him the survey was nearly complete. He seemed satisfied with that. I did not tell him what complete means to me now." By mid-April 1848, Squire had been at the ridge for nearly 2 weeks. His official correspondence from that period describes routine survey work. His journal describes something else entirely. "Proptet preceptor staters to diskrage." From the journal, April 17, 1848, "I have noticed that the serpent's coils, when traced on paper at a reduced scale, mirror exactly the path of a particular constellation across the southern sky in midsummer. I have checked this 3 times. The constellation Squire appears to have identified is Draco, the celestial serpent, which circles the northern pole and never sets below the horizon at this latitude. It is always present. It never disappears." From the journal, April 18, 1848, if I am right, the builders did not simply observe the sky, they wrote it into the earth. The mound is not a monument to the serpent. The mound is the serpent's answer. The correspondence between earthwork and constellation is not unique to Serpent Mound. Similar terrestrial celestial mirroring has been documented at Cahokia, at Poverty Point, and across the Hopewell ceremonial landscape. What it implies is a network, not of trade, not of war, but of shared cosmological intention. A common sky, read the same way by people who may never have met. From the journal, April 19, 1848, our guide came to my tent after dark. He sat without speaking for some time, then said, "You are beginning to understand what it is for." I asked him what it was for. He said, "To keep the sky from forgetting us." To keep the sky from forgetting us. It is an unusual way to describe a monument. It is also, perhaps, the most precise description Serpent Mound has ever received. The guide left before dawn. When Squire emerged from his tent, there were no footprints in the dew-softened earth, none leading away, none arriving. From the journal, April 20th, 1848, I searched the perimeter of the camp at first light. The ground was undisturbed. I do not know how to record this. I have left it out of the official log. Squire's official field log for April 20th reads, "Clear weather, survey continued, no notable incidents." It is 3 lines long. His personal journal entry for the same day fills 4 pages. From the journal, April 21st, 1848, I returned to the head of the serpent alone at midday. The oval cast no shadow at noon, none at all. I stood inside it for what felt like a very long time. And the boar, Porty, high one, Needers, are at solar noon on the summer solstice. The sun reaches its highest point directly above, and at certain latitudes shadows briefly vanish. Serpent Mound sits within the precise geographic band where this occurs. From the journal, April 22nd, 1848, Davis has begun to grow restless. He speaks of returning to Cincinnati. I have told him there are 3 more measurements to take. There are not. I simply cannot leave yet. By late April, Squire had accumulated more private notes on Serpent Mound than on any other site in the entire survey, a survey that encompassed over 200 earthworks across the Ohio Valley. From the journal, April 23, 1848, I have begun to feel that the mound is not finished, or rather that it was never meant to be finished, that it is still doing what it was built to do, and we are simply too close to see it. That phrase, "still doing what it was built to do," has no clear referent. Squire never explains it. The journal moves forward the next day, as though the thought had never been written. From the journal, April 24th, 1848. Last night I dreamed the serpent moved. Not violently, slowly, the way a river changes course over centuries. When I woke, I checked my measurements. They were the same. I was not relieved. The dream unsettled him in a way the waking world had not. Squire had spent his career measuring things, and now he was no longer certain that measurement was enough. From the journal, April 25th, 1848, I have begun to suspect that the mound was designed to be experienced over time, not in a single visit, but across seasons, years, perhaps lifetimes. We arrived too briefly to understand it. Archaeoastronomers have since confirmed that Serpent Mound's alignments are not static. They shift in meaning across the lunar and solar calendar, yielding different readings in different seasons. From the journal, April 26, 1848, I have now identified what I believe is a third alignment, one oriented not to the sky above, but to the horizon at a precise azimuth I cannot yet name. It points toward nothing I can find on any map. That unnamed azimuth, noted only once, never elaborated, has been quietly examined by 3 independent researchers since the journal surfaced. None have published their findings. None have said why. From the journal, April 27, 1848, Davis packed the instruments this morning. We leave tomorrow. Afters, I walked the full length of the serpent one last time, heel to toe, counting my steps. I will not write the number here. Squire left Serpent Mound on April 28, 1848. He would never return. In the years that followed, he published prolifically, but Serpent Mound appears in his work only in passing, never as a subject of sustained analysis. From the journal, April 28, 1848, final entry, I am leaving something behind, not an object, and not a measurement, something I cannot carry, and would not know how to explain. The mound will keep it. It has kept other things. Mine. The journal ends there. No closing signature, no date of composition. The remaining pages are blank, not empty, but blank in the way a held breath is blank, full of something withheld. Serpent Mound still stands. It has outlasted every culture that has tried to name it, every theory that has tried to contain it. Each year, the solstice sun still sets exactly where it was always meant to set. And still, people come. Not archaeologists now, not surveyors, ordinary people, drawn by something they cannot name, standing at the serpent's head at dusk and waiting, without knowing what they are waiting for. The Adena people who most likely built it are gone. The Hopewell who may have used it are gone. The guides who walked these ridges in 1848 left no names behind. Only the mound remains, unchanged. Squire's journal, if it is what it appears to be, does not solve the mystery of Serpent Mound. It deepens it. Every answer he approached, he chose not to record. Every door he found, he left unmarked. The third alignment, the one pointing toward a horizon azimuth found on no map, has never been identified. The three researchers who examined it have never spoken publicly. The azimuth itself has never been published. What we are left with is a structure that aligns to the solstice, to the lunar standstill, to a constellation that never sets, and perhaps to something else entirely, something that has not yet been named. Every 18 years, the moon returns to its lowest arc. Every 18 years, if the journal is accurate, the shadow of the serpent's head falls exactly across the oval, exactly, as it was always meant to. The next lunar standstill is coming. Researchers know the date. Some of them plan to be there, at the head of the serpent, measuring. Some of them are not sure they want to know what they will find. Squire wrote, "The mound will keep it. It has kept other things." He did not say for how long. He did not say what happens when something kept that long is finally found.